It's California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance, and we are joined today by Gil Stork. He is the Superintendent President of Cuesta College in San Luis Obispo County. I want to speak about the November election in this county. Quite remarkable. Some incumbents got kicked out of office, some very close races. But with regard to school bonds, they all passed in more liberal areas and more conservative areas, and Cuesta College was the benefit of one of those bonds. 62% voted yes on Measure L. Surprised?
Well, not surprised that our bond passed, because we worked really hard to make sure the public knew exactly what we were going to do with the dollars and what projects were going to happen and when it was going to happen. That was a really important thing. We wanted to be as transparent as possible.
And
what I was surprised about is the fact that all the measures passed,
right,
bonds and taxes. And for San Luis Obispo County, which is a more conservative county, that was really unprecedented. And but I was very pleased to see the confidence in the voters that this was the right time to invest in the future of our county and the future of America.
And there was some concern that because the Cuesta bond is county-wide, the other school bonds are local, that having two bonds, both focused on education, would cause kind of a cross-cancellation, but not even close. I mean, the Cuesta bond needed 55, it got 62. I mean, it didn't happen.
Yeah, and you know, the superintendents from San Luis Coastal and from Atascadero and I, you know, we conversed and met, and we actually we put forth a joint viewpoint in the local paper, along with Julian Crocker, the county superintendent, to really talk about this is a united front. This is about educating, you know, the future of our county, our cities, and California. So it wasn't a parochial kind of thing. We weren't going to feed off each other. We were really going to support each other.
And I have to say, Cuesta just came off a couple of difficult years. There was an accreditation crisis. You're absolutely on the other end of it. So in a lot of ways, it is even a greater stamp of approval. Because, you know, in a community like this, which is, you know, relatively small, an accreditation crisis is going to get a lot of play.
Yeah.
And so it must feel even more gratifying that on the other end of this crisis, your voters said, you know what, we're behind you.
Yeah, that was a real important part of that. I really felt it was a statement of the voter confidence and the fact that we were moving in the right direction, and this was the best way that they could demonstrate their confidence and support for the college, and was to approve this bond and let us move forward.
So it's been approved. I believe you're on the verge of, or you're floating the first issuance already. The total bond was $275 million. You're floating $75 million. That's a lot of money, sir. What are the plans for the first $75 million?
Well, you know, one of the things we did when we went into our campaign, we said we have to absolutely make sure that people understand what it is they're going to get for their vote. So we were very clear from the beginning. We were going to have 4 issuances, approximately $70 million each. And in that $70 million, we had it prioritized as to which projects, what services we were going to provide. And so that is a continual message that we're delivering. So we've already done the planning for 2 new buildings, one on the San Luis Obispo campus, one on the North County campus. These will replace modular buildings that we have to take offline by the end of September. So we're in the process of building 2 portable cities, both at campus, because we have to have swing space. So as we move people out of the old buildings, got to put them someplace before we can put them into their new locations. So the engineering and the design of that portable city is going on right now. The construction drawings are completed now for the 2 new buildings. We're going into working drawings. As soon as we finish that, we'll send those to the Department of State Architect in April, and we should be going out for bid in September for those 2 buildings, which we can start construction probably in February. So a year from now, we should be turning dirt.
And when do you expect construction to conclude?
Probably about 18 months.
So it's got to be very exciting.
Yeah, it really is. In addition to that, we're going to be redoing our aquatic center. We're redoing that pool. We're not going to replace it, but there are some major repairs we need to conduct. We have 4 buildings that were built in 1971 and 74, and we have to replace the roofs and the HVAC, the air conditioning and heating and ventilation systems on those. because those are the most critical. We're going to retire one of our what we call our certificates of participation. These were lease notes that we had on previous constructions. They'll help us with cash flow, and we'll start upgrading some of our technology projects. So that's all in that first issuance.
And you feel confident this was the right time in light of the fact that accreditation is behind you, and often with accreditation there are financial questions, and so the debt service is not going to be problematic.
No, not at all. Matter of fact, that's what the getting off of all sanctions and being reaffirmed was just a very another graphic statement about we have everything in order.
Right.
And we will continue to do that.
I want to shift gears and talk about an exciting plan that has been put into place. It's called the Cuesta College Promise. I remember when we spoke about it earlier, you had no idea that there was a couple in this community that had put into their will a trust for over $8 million to pass to Cuesta upon their passing, which happened recently. I remember when I was told about this and how the look in your eye when your colleague came in and said, "Remember that promise? Well, we can do it now."
Yeah.
So talk to us. This is the first year. The news gets better.
Yeah, we're in the second semester of our first promise group. When we launched the promise a year ago, what we promised San Luis Obispo County high school graduates who were graduating anywhere from January to June, they could come to Cuesta College and have all the fees paid for their first semester. And once that yield was 650 local students who became promise students, about 100 more than we would normally get. So we know it was having an impact on especially the most needy students. Once we were able to analyze the data for that group to see how many qualified for other aid, we determined that we could actually extend the promise for a full year.
I can't even imagine being that student who had learned that they were going to get a semester free, and then all of a sudden, no, guess what? You're going to get a whole year? Yeah. It's remarkable.
Yeah, so we made that announcement in early October, and our foundation board had approved to extend it for a year. So we now have launched the application period for Promise 2, which starts. It would start on January 1st and runs up to the middle of August.
For the students that would matriculate in the fall of 2015.
That's right. So the class of 2015.
It's interesting that we're discussing this because in the background, as you know, the President of the United States has proposed that community college be free. Literally. Yes. I mean, there are requirements under his plan. But obviously the idea of free community college is one that's percolating. The Cuesta Promise has been percolating for some time. You may know, wasn't there a time in our lifetime where community college was for free?
Absolutely.
In California? How long ago was that?
Well, I almost hate to say because I've been in this business for 48 years, but it was free when I started working. And then I remember when the first fee was imposed, it was $2 a unit, and everybody was crying foul. But now it's $46 a unit. But.
Which, interestingly, when you compare that to the rest of the country, we are the cheapest, the least expensive, absolutely. 50 out of 50. It's a good time to be 50 out of 50. But, when you think about the Cuesta College Promise, you think about President Obama's proposal, whether it gets legs or not, what do you make of the conversation?
Well, I think that any time you can create greater access to improving one's life, whether it be picking up one or two classes to get the skills for an advancement in your job, or learning a whole new career, or retooling to create a second income in your family, the more access you can give students for that, the better impact it's going to have on our whole nation. So that, I really appreciate that. It's also consistent with what he came out with 2 years ago about the catalyst to our workforce preparation will be the community colleges in the United States.
I want to thank you so much for joining us. Will you come back?
Absolutely.
Okay, his name is Gil Stork. He is the superintendent at Cuesta College in San Luis Obispo County. I'm Brian Pomerance. It's California Edition.